Hey, Leslie, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Hello, Kimberly.
Oh, I'm super excited. So, welcome. You actually are the first guest, even though I've had these conversations with podcasters before and had guests on and putting podcasters in the spotlight in the group. We actually changed the group. So, I went from podcasting essentials for beginners to now podcast to empower academy. So,
Oh,
you are
nice.
technically the first
Yeah.
empowered conversation that I'm having for the new rebrand of the group. So, thank you so much for being here. So, everyone, just thank you so much for coming and welcome. You know who I am. I'm Kimberly Sumter, and my amazing, beautiful, wonderful guest, who's actually a really good friend of mine who I've known from back in the day, I guess you can say, in Texas. She's a podcaster, she is a coach, she is a oh my gosh, she does so many things in the community. She works with young adults. She does so many amazing things. And we're going to be talking to her today about her journey as a podcaster. And let me tell you, first of all, your podcast, Leslie, the grown woman, no, hold on. Because see, you got a whole lot going on in your
Yes.
title. Why don't you
Yes.
tell me what the title of your podcast is? What's the
It
title?
is the Grown Black
Black.
Woman Success Podcast.
Okay.
Yes.
So, in saying all that, we are very clear on who your target audience is
Yes.
for your podcast.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
welcome and tell us a little bit about the podcast. And then you also have to tell me, how did you come up with the name of your
Oh,
show?
yes, the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast is for grown Black women where we talk about the joys and challenges that come with achieving success, all from a grown Black woman's perspective. And
And I
that
love it.
success is personal and professional. It's just everything.
All right. And how long have you been podcasting?
Well, like the first time, the original was, oh my gosh, a couple of years ago. And then
Mhm.
I came back again in 2019. It's like, all right, let's do this. So, yeah, I want to say 2019 is when I kind of said, let's get serious about this.
All right, but you know what? We have different things going on, and like I said, you have a company. You work with young girls. You've got your businesses. You've got all kinds of things that are going on. So coming back to it is okay because I'm sure we've all been there. It took me forever. It took me almost 2 years to actually launch the podcast.
Mm.
So it's timing is everything. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions, and inside this group the majority of the podcasters, if not all of the podcasters within this particular group, are either launching their podcasts or they have just launched and they are emerging and they're newer
Yes.
podcasters. So we want to take this time to discuss and talk about these journeys so that they
Yes.
understand that they are not alone in their
Mm.
journey as
Yes.
podcasters. All
Yes.
right. So I got my questions over here. And the first
Okay.
question that I want to ask you is what inspired you to start a podcast? Because you could have done anything. You could have written a blog, you could have written a book, you could have done lifestyle events, you could have created a YouTube channel. Why create a podcast?
Well, all my life I've been told that I have a big mouth. I'm a country girl at heart, and I love to talk. I feel
Mhm.
like I connect better with people when I can talk. You know, as a coach, that's foundation of what we do is just having these conversations. And even though I can write, it just doesn't sit. It doesn't get me excited
Mhm.
when I'm able to just open up my mouth and just flow from my heart. I have better results. And so that's why I chose podcasting. And, I just didn't want to have to be confined to just writing and worrying about punctuations and, all grammatical error and flows and all of that. I just wanted to turn on a mic or hit record and just talk.
Right. And how nervous were you doing that? Because it's not easy. Like when you first get your microphone and you say, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. But if you've never done it before, if you didn't have any background at all in maybe radio or broadcasting or whatever, a lot of people think that you have to have that, but you absolutely do not.
Mhm.
But how did it feel? And how long did it take for you to get comfortable with just being on the microphone? And um, how was it? Like, did you do solo episodes or did you always have guests on your show? Like, what was your format?
It wasn't difficult. Well, at first, again, I just like to talk. So it wasn't difficult when and I've been a coach. So I mean, I'm a coach. So I just close my eyes and imagine really that I'm having a conversation with one person, my ideal client. And so I just kind of act like I'm talking to her or a room full of my girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was important for me when I started to really share my voice, to share my story, to share my frustration, to share some things that if I could just empower one woman to start doing this or stop doing that or encourage her, then that's really why I started. And it was important for me for my audience to get familiar with my voice. So I
Mm-hmm.
was solo for a minute. I wanted them to understand and make sure, building my know, like, and trust factor. And then I also did it solo because it was a little less accountability. So the
Mm-hmm.
days I didn't, we've been just totally transparent.
Mm-hmm.
The days I didn't feel like recording, I didn't have to call and reschedule with anybody. I just didn't do it.
Right, right, right. No pressure. And that's understandable. And that was something, a conversation that I was having with someone today. And, it is important to keep a schedule, right?
Mhm.
But if you miss a week, if you don't launch at the same exact time that you've been launching, like, okay, it's fine. It's
Yes.
completely fine. Like, you need to knock that pressure off yourself. So that's the other thing about doing what we do. We do have the flexibility to kind of produce when we want to. And yeah, it does take the pressure off because sometimes when I set up appointments and I'm setting up all this stuff to have an interview, sometimes I'm not in the headspace on the day when it's
Yes.
time to actually do it. So I get you, I
Yes.
feel you, and it's okay. So,
Yes.
in speaking with or talking about your listeners and your audience, what are some of the things that you are doing in order to connect with them and get them really engaged in your content? And how do you engage beyond the podcast? Like, once
Um,
you've had the episode, like, what do you do after that to keep them connected and engaged with you?
One of the first things I do is I go to my email list and I let them know that the episode is there. Hey, didn't know, just in case you didn't catch it, the latest episode is out. Go check it out. Share it with a friend. And then just like what I have on now, if you see it,
Mm-hmm.
Grown Black Woman Success. My T-shirt. If you don't have the marketing dollars and all of that, you are your best form of advertising. Take pictures
Mm-hmm.
with your shirt and stuff on, and put that header on your Facebook page. Put it in your email when you go into the store, and on the back, you can't see, but it says, "I listen to the Grown Black Woman Success podcast." So I'm
Mm-hmm.
always marketing, always.
Right.
But those are some of the basic, simple, quick things that I can do um, to connect with individuals. And another thing I do is I listen.
Mm-hmm.
Grown Black women are around me everywhere. And so no matter,
Mm-hmm.
even if I'm in a line at a store, I'm listening to conversations, not to be eavesdropping, but to hear what they're talking about. And a lot of time we're frustrated, we're angry, don't have enough money, baby daddy getting on my nerves, kids getting on my nerves, my boss is tripping, the people on job don't like me, they hate them. So all of those things, that's juicy content, so
Right.
that I can create, topics and conversations around. And that's pretty much how I do it. You have to listen to your audience and give them what they want. If you listen to your audience and give them what they want, they're gonna listen. They're gonna come.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be listening by being inside a Facebook community to hear what they're saying.
Right.
Like, natural everyday life is a place where you can find good content for your show. And that's where you
Yes.
can have those real authentic conversations because this is what people are talking about. This is what women are talking about, or this is what,
Yes.
whoever your target audience is talking about. So I love that. So
Yes.
what was
And
some of the
also,
Mhm,
one other thing is your timeline. Check your timeline.
mhm,
You've liked
mhm,
these people, you friended these people for some reason. See
mhm.
how they're feeling. People share on, if you see somebody posting, if you see a lot of people are upset about something, happy about something, that may be something you want to pin and say, you know what, that might make a good topic.
Right. I love
Yeah.
that. I love
Yeah.
it. So that's really good. I really like that. I love the fact that you are branding yourself and you are wearing your t-shirt and you are being very specific. So they know that what you were talking about, what you were selling is an actual podcast because you're
Yes.
saying it. It's not just an organization or just it could be anything. It is a podcast. So I
Yes.
love, love, love that.
Yes.
So you got to drop in and let me know where you're getting your shirts from too, because I gotta start
Girl, I make
moving over in
t-shirts
that
now.
way.
I'm not gonna
You
fake
make
you.
them?
I started
Oh my
making
gosh, okay.
t-shirts now.
All right, we
I'm
gotta
always
talk.
doing something.
Yes, we gotta talk. All right, so now I wanna talk about some things as far as podcasting is concerned, your journey. And we'll start with this question. This probably would have gone to the, a little bit later, but I'm curious, what's some of the worst advice that anyone, another podcaster, has given you about podcasting?
It was actually probably two things. One, that you got to be perfect. Like, really? And two, that you got to show up perfect. I didn't say it in that way, but in essence, yes. I mean, why is it as women do we feel like we got to show up online everywhere with a full beat face every single time, dressed to the nine to share our message? And men don't do that. Men just, they do this, got on their jean t-shirt. And it's like the pressure is always on us as women to show up in this image before we can take each other seriously. And I just decided I'm not going to do that. I'm a jeans and t-shirts kind of girl. And the people that I attract that way, I mean, not to say that you don't, dress for the occasion. That's not what I'm saying. But showing up every day, every time, even at COVID with a full B face, who are you fooling?
Right.
Like, and what you're saying is more important than what you're wearing. So I'm all for professional, but perfect and all of that. That's what really kept me from starting, because I knew that was not me. I'm not that full makeup type person. So it kind of made me feel like, okay, well, I'm not worthy to get to be seen and heard. But I got over that real quickly.
All right, that's good. Yeah, that's especially now, it's really funny because now that we are doing so many things virtually, I think people are falling more and more into that trap because we're relying on the virtual space in order to be seen. And now we also have people who are creating, and I would say in quotes, they are creating virtual or online or video podcasts, right?
Yes.
So their
I've heard
podcasts
to, yes,
are not the audio version of a podcast, the traditional, but now there are new ways that people are podcasting and things are growing. So they are definitely doing that. And I completely agree with you. It's like, especially if your content is very specific to authenticity and all of that, then we have to show up in that way.
Right.
And it's okay. And if your audience is cutting for you, it doesn't matter if you have on lipstick or not. They just want to hear some real, authentic, good content. And that's what the expectation is. Before I go on to the next question, I just want to let everybody know that if you want me to see who you are, who's making the comment, you have to allow StreamYard to allow you to do that. So there's going to be a little button or something that you're going to press. I think it's going to be like in the banner section. Just go ahead and give StreamYard permission to be able to take your profile and let us see who you are. And then I'll be able to know exactly who it is who's commenting. One of the comments is great idea for self-branding. And I'm thinking that was about the t-shirts that you have and everything, because I love that. Again, I do love the fact that you utilize some real estate on the front and the back.
Yes.
And I am clear.
And if you see me coming or see me going.
Yes. And I definitely would have, if I would have seen that, at the very least, I would have been curious to know, what is this podcast about? Like,
Sometimes you don't want to stare at people and read their shirt and stuff. So I said, I got you. So if you're standing behind me, you can grab a phone out real quick or take a quick picture and, so yeah.
All right, everybody. We're getting shirts and we're going to get some shirts from Leslie too. I got to get her number. All right. So what was some of the best advice you got along your journey?
To really just do it. Like, just do it. You can perfect it as you go, but just do it. And just also be confident in what you're talking about. Talk about what you know. Don't try to be perfect. And talk about what you're passionate about and what you know, because then you don't sound rehearsed and scripted. But when you are talking outside of your realm of influence, then you sound like you've been studying. You sound like you're reading. And people can tell that. And so what I wanted to do was just show up in my true self, talk my country self, and just talk about what I know. And that has made all the difference in my podcast. It's like when I turn on the mic now, I'm just like, girl, what we going to talk about today?
I love that. And then you also integrate like your own personal story within your podcast. And, again, you are a really dear friend to me, and you've gone through some health challenges over the last couple of years. You are a survivor.
Yes.
You are a survivor. Do you
Yes.
mind sharing just a little bit about that, and then how are you connecting your real life personal story in order to help and inspire and empower other women?
Yes, I am not just a once, not a twice, but I am a three-time breast cancer survivor. And my first diagnosis is when I was 29. My second diagnosis was when I was 47, and my most recent diagnosis was last year. It's coming up on a year now.
Mhm,
December, end of December, beginning of January, and so I use that to one motivate people and empower people to uh, just not wait for the perfect timing, because
mhm,
all it takes is, and the only reason I found out really about the third diagnosis was I was involved in a accident,
mhm,
and the pain that I thought was from the accident was really uh, the um, um, the cancer had traveled from my breast to my hip, and so it attached to
mhm,
my hip, causing this excruciating pain. And
mhm,
so I use my story now to just empower people to understand that tomorrow is not promised, and while you can do, and people, and it also kind of shakes people up a little bit because they come to me with stories about, Liz, you don't understand, you don't, like, honey, try living with cancer pretty much your entire life since you was 29. So if I
mhm.
can do all that with
Right,
what I've been going through, chemotherapy and all, it kind of helps them to shift their perspective a little bit, like, oh, okay,
right.
you right, you know,
Mhm,
you don't look like a girl, like, I know, but I just
mhm,
infuse my story because it is about how I've overcome. It's how I've activated my faith. It's how I
mhm.
keep going and how I make sure I never look like what I'm going through. So,
Right.
yeah.
And we're gonna definitely hear that story um, with all of the amazing things that Leslie is doing, a little bit about her journey with breast cancer and all of that on an episode of Sisters Connect, that podcast. Yeah, that thing
Yay.
that I am updating soon because I've been in the instructor mode. But yes, everybody, do as I say, not as I do. All
Right. You
right,
know.
so now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty because I know people just have this thing like when it comes to audio editing your podcast. Oh
Yes.
my goodness gracious. Okay, so you and I, we both just had this discussion about Audacity. I
Yes.
have Audacity. I have the older version. You have the newer version.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your methods of recording your podcast. Like what type of equipment do you have? What type of microphone are you using? What is the software that you use? What is good for you that you found helps you to get that out there?
I started out with my studio in a box, and it is basically a box. I went and bought some foam, and I
Mm-hmm.
put the foam in it. Sit my beautiful Blue Yeti microphone in the
Mm-hmm.
box so that it would help with the noise and sounds consistent. I go hit record in Audacity, and
Mm-hmm.
then I upload it. I do my add my intro and outro into Audacity. I download it, upload it into Libsyn,
Okay.
and it kind of, I love Lipton because it's kind of like a one-stop shop for the most part. You put it
Mm-hmm.
in there, you could send it out to all the other platforms. There are a few you got to go to, do it yourself. But that's pretty much how I do. I believe in keeping stuff real simple.
Yeah, it's hard to, yeah, you definitely need to keep it simple because if you are going to be, it's so funny because I have a bi-weekly podcast, right? So for me, for anybody who does a podcast every single day, like 5 days a week,
Oh my
more
gosh.
power
Bless them.
to you. You just
Yes.
just more power. And I even have to say that to anyone who does a weekly podcast because
Yes.
that is not hard. It takes me, I take 8. I really take a nap after I finish uploading. I
Yes.
seriously take a nap because I just it's a
Yes.
feeling of relief, but the stress of putting all of that stuff together and everything. So
Yes.
yeah. But with that being said, workflows are really important. So what is your workflow throughout the week? Like do you record and edit and do all of that in one day? Do you stretch it in, a 3-day period? Like what does your workflow look like for your podcast from beginning to the end?
What I typically do is first is I create the artwork, or because each time you get ready to upload, you gotta do your artwork with the new episode and the title. So I know, because
Mhm.
I've thought about what I'm going to talk about, and so I put it there. That helps me to not change my mind. Right. So
Mhm.
let's stick with this, and then I think about three things that I can share, 3 to 5 things I can share in that episode on that topic. And that's kind of like a day. Monday, I would just say Monday, do the artwork. Tuesday, I think about what I'm going to talk about. And then I go on to social media, because you want to, whatever you're talking about, you want to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So depending, like this month, I could have easily been talking about breast cancer awareness, but everybody's talking about breast cancer awareness. And since it's my
Mm-hmm.
story, I just choose to, I may finish out the month with that, but um, I'll go and research to make sure what I'm saying is relevant. I'll find a way to connect it to what's happening or what I feel like is relevant. Or if
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a series, I just flow with the next thing. Because if I write down 3 to 4 things, the next question I ask myself is, can this be a series? Or can
Mm-hmm.
I talk? I try to keep my podcast under 10 minutes for me.
Okay. Okay.
10 minutes max, because I feel like after that, unless you have conversation going, people just kind of tune out, quit listening. So I
Right.
try to do
Right.
10 minutes. So if I could talk about those 3, 5 things in 10 minutes, fine. If not, then I could create a series, maybe talk about two one time, and then the next 2 weeks I can talk about the other 2 or 3.
All right.
And then we're at Wednesday. So Wednesday, I'm just really like taking a step back. I try not to get, I just kind of pause, let whatever happen. Thursday is always my recording day. So really, to be honest with you, Wednesday night about midnight, I'm up recording because I'm in an apartment complex. It's kind of quiet. All of these
Mm-hmm.
things make a difference. So I kind of
Mm-hmm.
record. I may stay, get up about 1 or 2, and I'll record till about 4, 5. Take a power nap, and get up, and load it up on Thursday. Because the beautiful thing, I create my artwork on Monday, is because when I'm loading it up on Wednesday night at 4 and 5, you don't want to have to spend time creating your artwork. It's already
Right.
done. So you just
Right.
put it in there, upload it all, and you're done. And then this is a little something for me. I wait till it shows up on Facebook. Then I'm like,
Okay.
yes, I can go to bed now.
Yes, yes, yes. It's so funny. I do the same thing. I do that in Apple. When I see it in Apple, I'm like, I'm good now.
Yes,
That is my moment right there. So I
yes,
do. So, and you did say something that I wanted to go back at, which was important. You live in an apartment complex,
yes,
and you have discovered for yourself, based on your environment,
yes,
the best time to
yes,
record your podcast so
yes,
that you can have the best sound quality possible. And if
yes,
that happens to be midnight, that's a part of
yes,
your workflow and it works for you.
yes, yes, yes,
Yes, I love
yes.
that. So what are some of your favorite, if any, tips, or not tips, I'm sorry, apps that you might use? Like, and it could be anything. It could be from the production side of it, or it can be maybe creating um your show cover art, or it can be just any part of your podcast. Is there something that you have to have in order to make sure that your work is efficient and it's an easy kind of something for you to utilize in order to make your podcast great?
Yes, Canva. I live
Yes,
by
yes,
Canva. I
yes, yes,
love
yes.
Canva. And it's just a copy. Like I make it one time, and I have it in all the sizes, because when you're uploading the Lipson, there's a couple of different. You got a thumbnail, you got a wide image, so you got all these different images. So
Hmm.
different sizes. So I create the 3 sizes as my template, and all I have to do every week when I go in is just change the episode and change the title, download it, and rinse and repeat. So I love Canva. I like Lipson. For the most part, I like Lipson. Price is reasonable, and it's pretty easy to work with. They're kind of the big boys on the block. Um, and I like Audacity.
Hmm.
But those are pretty. I try to keep my podcast very, very simple, so I don't branch out and use a lot of things. That's what's been working for me. So that's kind of
Hmm.
what I use. And every now and then, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna brand it differently. I'm thinking every season I might brand differently, but right now, yeah, right now. Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you a question. When you go on to Libsyn, do you see a girl on the front page?
Girl, I see
I'm
you.
just
Yes,
saying.
yes,
I just
yes, I
wanted to make
see
sure.
you.
Okay. Okay, I just want to put that out there. Okay, okay, so we're good now. All right, so
Yes,
yes, all right, so that's good. So I use all that. I use Canva is everything. I love
yes,
Canva, and something. Canva, if you're not careful, like you have to go in Canva after you've done all the work that you've needed to do. Because if you really look and see what they offer and some of the features and the cool stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, you
Yes.
can be in there all day. So
Yes.
I really have to be really disciplined when I go into that, because that can be fun time too when I go in Canva.
And we're not
But
even
yeah,
gonna talk about the app that you can do it on your phone. Girl,
oh
I'm at the
yes,
store, I'm
yes,
in line. I'm like, oh, let
yes.
me. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful. I love
Canva
it.
is everything, and I love it. It's a free service depending on how much you need, but it's so inexpensive. I think it's like $12 a month
Yeah,
or
I'll take the
something
pro
like that.
version. Yeah, I did the pro version trial and they hooked
Yeah,
me. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
worth the
so worth
investment.
it. It is
Yeah.
definitely worth the investment. All right, so we know about your workflow. We know that you record late at night because that's when it's really quiet in your, in your home, in your area, and stuff like that. So tell me about, just for you personally, what has been um, one of the most, or if anything, what is the challenging thing that you've had to go through in this process? And I'm not talking on a personal challenge, but just, as a new podcaster, trying to figure out this whole thing of podcasting, seeing
Mhm.
the sea of hundreds of thousands of podcasters that are out there,
Mhm.
and trying to do things like gain download numbers and all of
Mhm.
that. Like,
Mhm.
what has been the challenging part of getting to where you want to be in your journey?
Um, I probably the first challenge I probably have is consistency. Just
Mhm,
being consistent, like you, my podcasts are every 2 weeks. I push pause for a minute, but they're every 2 weeks.
mhm,
And getting over imposter syndrome,
mm,
knowing
mm,
that I deserve to be in this space and I do have something to say. And
mhm,
I'm going to say this, and I'm hoping this is not against anything that you're teaching your students,
mhm.
but if you are starting a podcast for numbers, you're starting a podcast for the wrong reason.
I am. Yes, you keep saying it.
Okay. If you are trying to be seen and heard to be anything other than sharing your message, then you're starting a podcast for the wrong reason.
Mhm,
Podcasts, and the reason that people have these numbers for the majority of them is because they are speaking their truth. They're
mhm.
sharing their message and they're passionate about it. And they find other people just as passionate and they give people what they want to hear.
Right.
Now, for some people, I've listened to podcasts that were under a minute. I've
Mm,
listened to podcasts that were a minute. I've listened 30 minutes. I listened to hour. So you find your space, but if you don't focus on the numbers, focus on reaching the person that you're supposed to reach, but reach them on a deep level. Talk
mm,
about what everybody else is not talking about.
yes.
Like grown black woman success, we talk about things like what real grown black women talk about. I'm
Yes.
not talking about leadership and business, nothing against any of that. That's all important, but that's not where I thrive and flow.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you will get that one email that's going to change your life and break you down is that email that says, your podcast literally changed my life.
Right.
And that comes from one person. So you're not gonna get you can't focus on the millions, you focus on the one because that one person life who's been changed, now she's gonna go tell somebody else.
Right.
And that's how I look at it. It's not about the yes, we do want to get, but you want the organic growth.
Right. Right.
The one
And
thing that I dislike more than anything else, and I'll
mhm,
stop on this because I can kind of go on a rant.
mhm,
It's when we start following people for the sake of following people. Like let's
mhm.
follow. Well, if you're gonna follow me, could you like, could you
Right.
comment, could you
Right.
share? Don't just like me to follow me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram and see my posts and don't comment because I'm going to comment on yours.
Right.
And I may not can comment on all of them because Instagram and Facebook, they kind of determine how much and what we see. But if you're following people, engage with them. Do for other
Mhm.
people what you want done for you.
Right. And it's so funny that, it's so, I want to pack so much of this, right? Unpack it. But it's so funny that you say that, because I had a conversation with someone earlier this week, and I'm the same way. I feel like in order to build community, it takes we have to all be a part of it. We have to be an essential part together in order to build this community. And if you are here, why are you here? And I
Right.
think And I understand on the surface that what we do, it's a personal choice for someone to join inside of a group or for someone to follow you on Facebook or Instagram and all of that. I think because of the nature of who we are as people, we what we produce and what we put out is so that we can build a sense of community as well. So there's more of an attachment to that. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to separate myself from the fact that, okay, I can't make somebody do something that they don't want to do because you just can't. But
Right.
I understand and I feel you on that point because I was thinking that very exact thing this week, and I feel like, okay, now let's be engaged. Let's see how we can spread the love outside of where we are, and don't hold on to it for yourself. Let's spread it
Right.
out. You know what I mean?
Why do we
um
do that? Like, I'm
I don't
curious. Like,
know. I don't
I
know.
don't know who all listening, but ask yourself, like, why do we do that? Why do we now? If it's some drama and stuff, now we can share that kind of stuff all day long. But if
Right,
somebody made
right,
a great
right.
post, why can't we just share that post or tune into this podcast? And I think there was a post you made in the group. I thought it was so funny, and I was just laughing out loud, literally. It's like, have you heard my podcast? And they were like, girl, yeah, I've been thinking about starting one. I'm like, that is
Yes.
not what I asked you.
Exactly. Yes. 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 That is so you don't even now my new answer is okay, well then sign up for my online course. Okay.
Okay,
So
thank
that's a
you.
different thing now. That means something a whole lot different to me now than it did a couple of months back. But
Yes,
yeah, it's
yes,
about, because I think as podcasters, we're also creators.
you're right.
And we are and you are right. There are some podcasters, and it is totally okay, who they create and they are doing it for the purpose of monetization or for whatever the reason is. And we're going to talk about that too. And then we have other people who are using the platform to be able to be their authentic selves and to share themselves with their audience.
Mhm.
Um, how do you feel about because I this is my feeling, like I would prefer 100 people listening to my podcast being 100% into what it is that I'm talking about than have 1,000 people who are following who sporadically, if not at any time, listen to the actual show. So I guess that's basically what we're talking about. So
Right.
let's talk about the numbers, because I know a lot of people get tied up in the numbers. And do not get me wrong, I do not want to minimize or diminish
Right.
anything about podcast downloads and numbers, because let me tell you, when I hit a certain point, I was doing a happy dance.
Yes.
You get excited because it kind of gives you that validation that people are out
Right.
there, people are listening. But then
Right.
there's that other side, like there's that little gray area in between where you don't want to get so focused and tied up in that,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So for anybody who's kind of on that fence, especially as a new podcaster, what advice would you give to them if their focus right now as a new podcaster is download numbers, getting the downloads? What would you tell them?
Um. Again, I'm like you. I would not go against that. I would support them. I say, okay, what's your number? Uh, it's 100. Okay, now what is it going to take to get 100? How are you going to show up to get
Mm,
100 people to listen to your podcast?
mm,
Because now it's like, if that's your goal, then you got to be willing to put in the work.
mhm,
But if you get those 100 people, then what is going to keep them coming back? So you got your 100 people. Now, how are you going to engage with them? Because people are not crazy. They know when they're being bought, they know when they're being sold to, and they know when people stop engaging. Because
mhm,
when you're doing it from your heart, you can feel that in your podcast. When
mhm,
it's all about numbers, whether you know it or not, your goal has changed, and so your conversation is going to change
mm,
subconsciously. You're not even aware of it. You're not even talking as deeply as you used to.
mm,
You kind of still surface level because your mind is on giving them what they want. But see, the podcaster, you have the opportunity to give people a sprinkle of what they want, but a little bit more of what they need.
mhm,
And that's how I look at it. So if you're looking for numbers, that's okay. Get your numbers. But there have been individuals, and I read the story, and I can't remember which influencer it was on Instagram. She had started a makeup line, beauty line of something, and she had over 1 million followers. And when she
mhm,
opened up her beauty business, and I'm sure she was banking on those numbers, a percentage of those numbers, she got less than 1,000 people to buy her beauty products.
mm,
Numbers are just that, they're numbers. People
Mhm.
follow people to be nosy, see what you're doing for all different kind of reasons for a temporary feel. But when you have an organic community that you have grown and that you're growing, those people will be with you forever
Mhm.
if you nurture that relationship. And your podcast, depending on the reason you have your podcast, you can have it as a platform for you to share your voice. It could be a tool that you're driving people to your products and services. So I would say, what's your goal? If you got 1,000, what is it going to take to get 1,000? And then what are you going to do with that after you hit the 1,000 mark? Because now you're going to stay there, or is it going to be 2,000? So if it's going to be 2,000, you got to double your efforts. Are you really ready to do that?
Mhm. And once you have that 1,000 or that 100 or that 500 or whatever, what are you going to do with them?
Right.
What
How
are
are you
you
going to
doing
continue
with
that
them?
engagement?
Right. How
Yes.
are you going to continue to engage and keep them engaged?
Yes.
Absolutely. Somebody said 2 snaps up. We giving you 20 snaps up,
Yes.
girl.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I don't know who said 2 snaps up, but yes. Yes, yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you.
This is some good stuff. Let's talk about monetization because I also feel that's just me because I'm trying not to say it as the instructor, right?
Yeah.
But we talk about monetization, and that again is another thing. Yes, that is definitely a goal of a podcast. But we want to be able to find ways that we can monetize, but we cannot come into the space of podcasting with the thought that we are going to make money from it because you will be highly disappointed in that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
with that being said, I know that you have merch and things like that. Like, what are some of the ways that you are monetizing, not necessarily your podcast,
Mhm.
but how are you monetizing, if any way, as a podcaster? Does that make sense?
Mhm. Well, I'll tell you, and that monetizing is maybe leveraging maybe more of what I would call it for what I'm doing, because I've
Mhm,
had a couple of individuals reach out to me, and they wanted numbers. It was a company, a beauty company, and they reached out to me, and I was so excited. Even though I wasn't able to meet all the requirements, I was excited because they had heard about my podcast, and I had less than 100
mhm,
downloads. Okay. So again, it's about when people listen to your content and stuff, because people attach to your message.
mhm,
It's got to be vision aligned for influencers, for brands, and everything. So I typically use my podcast now to share my message, and then people typically go to my website and they can join my email list. So I use my podcast more as a tool. It's not like my all in all. My coaching business is my all in all. But
mhm.
I leverage that, and I give away, if somebody comments, I send them a grown black woman t-shirt.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I just
Yes,
mail
yes,
them. I say,
yes.
hey, you were the first about to comment. You be on the lookout. A grown black woman t-shirt is coming your way. So in that city, in that state, I'm there. Even though I'm not there physically, my podcast is there. So
Yes,
I'm there. So
yes.
those are just the little ways you got to sew into what you want.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the quick, simple way. But just, and I have mugs. I create mugs, and so it's just, if anybody listens to, that's how you keep your audience engaged and listening, because you show appreciation, and then you want them to do something in return. So if they take the time to comment, then I'm going to reward you for that. I'd
Right.
maybe do a drawing. Sometimes I do everybody. Sometimes when I first started, I only had like 5 and 10 people. So I just bought a dozen t-shirts, made them up, send them out.
Exactly. And that is exactly it. Like when I get um and it serves so many purposes. There was someone that I met on LinkedIn, and well, I didn't know who she was. We befriended each other. You know how you have people in common
Right.
and all that. We wound up being, friends on LinkedIn, and she sent me the sweetest inbox one day about how one particular episode that she listened to just touched her. I mean,
Yeah.
it meant so much to her. And then from there, she became like that avid listener, like that
Yes.
the
Yes.
cheerleader, right? And
Yes.
all I needed to know from her is, what is your address? And
Right.
I sent her a branded mug, and she sent me a picture back with that mug, and she was so
Yes.
touched and so excited. And those are the kinds of things that 100 download numbers could not replace the feeling of
Right.
knowing that there was somebody out there who connected with the message and with the podcast and with me so much. That means more to me than anything. So
Yes.
I do the same thing, and I love that you do that. You send it
Yes.
out. Um, What kind of like so what do you have? What kind of merch do you have? You have your t-shirts, you have what else do you
I
send?
have a t-shirts, and then I also do the little drawstring backpacks. I do
Mhm.
the mugs, and now the mask. So those are the different. But everybody loves
Mhm.
the t-shirts, and it's like because once you and if you're talking with the important thing to remember is if you're talking with an influencer or someone who wants to be a sponsor, um, they're going to know how you're engaging too. You got the numbers
Mhm.
and stuff, but which one is really more powerful? 1.5 million or one person with the mug that represents your podcast, because that's
Right.
an individual that you have touched. See,
Right.
that's the story. That's what you really, really want. And then there are some other ways too. You don't have to always give away your thing. You could partner. Sponsorship can come from. There are so many people with small businesses around here. It's
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
sponsor something from them.
Exactly.
It's just so many ways we can connect and grow together. It's like quit waiting on Coca-Cola and all of that. Honey, you got somebody in your community that's a small business owner that you could buy a product from, even if it's like, hey, because we all, everybody may not can afford to give you something for your show, but they may can give you a discount, or you could just buy it and say, this is sponsored by. We can help each other out.
exactly. Oh my goodness, Leslie, you are just everything. I love my Southern friends. I love my friends. I love
Yes,
my teacher
auntie, I
friends.
love you
Yes.
more.
All
You
right.
got
So
to get
tell me.
creative, man. You have to get creative
Yeah.
and intentional about what it is that you're doing. You are beyond
Mhm.
your podcast.
Yes.
And that's what's most important. When people your podcast should be where you build your know, like, and trust factor. People listen
Mhm.
to you, get to determine if they like you. Then if they
Mhm.
want to get to know, want to get to know you a little bit better and see if they want to trust you. And when they trust you, when you get to that point, you trust you, it doesn't matter that's when you got a loyal client and loyal following.
Mhm. And when they trust you and they get to that point, you better
They'll
keep
be
them trusting you.
they'll
They
look.
be
I wish I
trustworthy.
could find it, but I was gonna pull it out. Oh, here we go. Is when they trust you, they'll do this.
Whoa. Oh, what?
They'll
Okay.
buy from you. Yes,
Oh,
they will buy from you. It's like whatever you're selling, they like, you know what? I know it's good.
that's
I'm
true.
ready to invest.
Because you've built the relationship.
Yes.
It is about relationship building. That's with anything. Whether
Yes.
you are a podcaster, whether you are in business, you've got a small business, it is not we cannot do that hard sell where we're just jumping out and it's like, well, you get in bed with me and I just met you. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
You have to build a relationship, you have to build trust, you have to build a rapport, and you have to do it in honesty. You have to be like,
Right.
we have to show up in a way where we're being honest about it and we're being open and we're being you know, how we're doing it is in the best interest of the person who is listening to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we want to do things in their best interest as well. But that's awesome. So tell me about what has been the most. I know you've had a lot of great things happen, but what's
Mhm.
been one of the most rewarding things that has happened since you started your podcast?
The feedback from the listeners. I
Mhm.
did one about the 5 things I think every grown black woman should have. And it was, power suit, the black dress. I think it was $500 in your bank account, disposable income, and Lord forgive me now, I can't remember them all. But just to have women email me and say, "Just want to let you know, I went and got the black dress." I'm like,
Mm.
what? Like, really? Wow. And one lady's like, I got 3 out of the 2, and I'm waiting to see season 2. And they had been listening. They were like, where's season 2? And I was like, oh God.
Nice. So you're
But
coming,
that
you're
is the
coming.
most, you're not going to feel any more validated than when your listeners respond to you. It's like, it's
Mhm.
just the best feeling in the world.
That's nice. And what publications have you been in? I know that I read an article, a really nice feature on you in OSA Collective, right?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
yes. So how was that? Because it was really nice. So I have to actually attach that so that everyone can read and find out more about you and get more insight. But this has been
Yes.
like totally, completely amazing. So I need to know, how in the world can we find your podcast? I want to know. I'm asking a bunch of questions right now. We need to
Oh,
know how to find your podcast. And
uh-huh.
shame on me because you are the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
shame on me from the beginning for messing that up. But anyway, we need to know how to find your podcast.
Mhm.
Also want to know, listen, do you create show merch for other podcasters, or do you just do it on your own for yourself? Like, what is that looking like, so that we know in case we need to reach
Yes,
out to you?
yes, yes. Grownblackwomansuccess.com. My podcast is on that page. My podcast is on iTunes, Google, Spotify, of course, Lipson. I think I'm on all the major platforms
Mm-hmm.
of Grown Black Woman Success. And yes, the company is called Say That Tease. I'm still working on the website, but Say That Tease, or you can just email me, good old fashioned email, Leslie Denman at Gmail. If you want to see some of the things that I've done, you can go to Say That Tease, Tees, on Facebook, and I try to put some pictures up that I have done for different clients and different individuals. Everything from I don't do screen printing. I don't do screen print. I do vinyl printing. So with the
Mm-hmm.
good old fashioned heat press and all of that. So yeah, I do mugs. I do t-shirts, backpacks, masks. Pretty much anything.
You know what, Leslie? This is new to me. I did not know this.
Yes,
And
yes,
I just
yes,
got finished going to Vistaprint with those expensive things. Not that, well, that's another conversation.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
I need to see. I didn't know that you did that. And that's good to know. And that's a great thing for you to have in your own business, or with you being a podcaster, because now you can create your own stuff. You can
Yes,
be as
yes,
creative as you want to be.
yes, yes, yes.
And everybody, I have to say this. I have to say this.
Mhm.
Everybody knows that I'm a candle maker. This is sidebar.
Ah,
I was inspired by Leslie. That's when I was inspired by Leslie. This was back when I was living in Texas. This was what, like
yes,
13, 14, 15 years ago. When I tell you Leslie was on it, she was making candles. She had her organization.
yes,
When I
yes,
tell you
yes.
Leslie is about the business
Okay.
for real. She is like doing so many things, but they all some way, somehow they just come in line together, and you can use
Yes.
all those beautiful talents and now, create a beautiful podcast and put all your talents together and just have everything that you want to have
Yeah,
in
and
all
we
this.
all have gifts. Like,
Yes, we
and why
do.
not use them? Like, why not use them? You could say, if I had, get my marketing dollars, and then I can market my podcast. Okay, well, what can you create and sell that's in your natural wheelhouse that you can do? I mean, now this is just me. Now, this is just me. Girl, your gas tank is low. Girl, go sell 2 or 3 candles to fill your gas tank up.
Yes.
Make a t-shirt and go fill your gas tank up. It's done more than you think. It is done more than and then look around. This is why relationships are so important. I barter with a web designer on certain
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
And she wants a t-shirt to promote her business, or she's ready to upgrade her design. Okay, and then she creates something for me. So it's just all kind of ways that you just got to think about. It's kind of like Earl, and I'm gonna be quiet after this. Earl Nightingale says it. When we talk about lead, oh Lord, lead to success. I think lead to learn. I can't remember now. I've listened to so many of them, and also in the Strangest Secret. Um, Whatever it is that you want, write it down on a piece of paper. Right,
Mhm.
write down everything that you want on a piece of paper, and then you just go back and put them in order of priority. Right. So
Mhm.
if you got 50 things, you put them in priority. What's number one? Okay, then you take number one, and then you exhaust your mind of all the ways you can make number one happen.
Mhm.
All the different ways you can make number one happen that you can use with your natural gifts. So if you got to talk to somebody, create something, sell something, whatever you got to do, and then you just make it happen. We just overcomplicate things sometimes. We
Mhm.
have everything that we have within us. We have everything. Whatever we want is already in us. We just got to do the work. They say we only use about 1%, 8% of our brain. Just got to get them cobwebs off, get creative, and make it happen.
I love that. So let me tell you something. You got some church today, everybody. You got some amazing podcasting tips. You got so much in this conversation, and I so appreciate you, Leslie. I just, you know, you already
Anything,
know,
and it's my honor. It is
you
such
know.
my honor, like for real. You my girl for real, for real. You
And
guys have a great leader. You need to listen to what she's saying. Okay, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Your teacher has appeared, so you're obviously ready.
Well, thank you, Leslie. That's so sweet. I was thinking, I got all these sidebar things going on. And this is what happens when you talk to somebody who you just like adore and who's your friend. But I just have to say one more story. This is not podcast related,
Uh-huh.
but Leslie won. And this was, look, it's the one thing had nothing to do with another because I had
Mhm.
nothing to do with this. Let me just put that out there. And first of all, I want to say, hey, Vianelli, she's new to the group. She was one of my
Yeah.
students at the
Hey,
college. Hey,
hey.
Vianelli. Also, hi, Angela. I see you there. But I will never forget the day and the look on your face. I worked for a radio station
Oh
and
my gosh.
yes. I worked for a radio station, and there was a big promotion every year that gave away a car. And when I tell you everybody in Dallas was vying for this car, like
No,
thousands and thousands of
Kim. Not
listeners.
Kim. That was the following year. I got the cash.
You got the cash?
50G.
You got 50. Oh, it was the 50?
And
Okay.
it's on my the top of the check that
Oh my
is still on my
God.
bedstand right now.
So
Every
you
night before I go to bed, I see
Oh
it.
my gosh. Okay. So yeah, so you won the 50. It was the crib giveaway, right?
I
It was
won the
either you won the
$50,000.
$50,000 and we were on all the radio personalities. We were all
Yes.
on the field because it was the Grambling
Yeah.
and Prairie
Prairie
View
View game.
A&M University football game. That was when the big giveaway came, and I just can remember the look on your face when they called your name and you won. And I was just so happy for you. And I'm saying this out loud. I had nothing to do with that giveaway. It was random. I had nothing to do with it. I was just an
Yes.
innocent bystander, but I was so happy for you with that. So,
Yes, that was I share
yeah.
that moment with I share that moment like when I'm speaking to people because the whole story of how that came about is it was a God thing, and I share that with young girls and just anybody that's like believing God for anything. Your
Mhm.
faith is key. And you got to
Mm.
know that you know. When you know it's for you, you got to know it against all odds. Cause I almost died getting to that point to get to that 50K.
Mm.
I had been diagnosed with cancer during that time. Yeah, it was a
Mm.
season. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And everybody told me, don't go, don't do this. This is for me. So yeah, I was in
Wow.
the ambulance. It's a whole story. But anyway, yes, I'll get yes. I
Well, we're
still
gonna
have
have
that
to
on
have
my bed now.
yeah, we're gonna have to redo our conversation because we need to talk about this in the episode. Okay, yeah, we need to have another conversation and talk about
Yes. I'm
this.
just telling you. And that's just to anybody. You know, when you're getting ready to do something, your podcast and everything, think it not
Mhm.
strange when things start happening and try to distract and get you off the game. That's when you know that you're really called to do it. So don't think
Mhm.
it's all happening just because you shouldn't be doing it. No, that's all the more reason you should.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, Leslie, this was so good. Thank you so much. I
Thank
just do not
you.
even want to hang up with you, but I gotta hang up with you. But listen,
I know.
you are
All
a
good
part of
things
the
must come
group.
to an end.
They must come to an end, but you were in the group and you are now a group member. So,
Yay.
and Angela is here. Angela said, "Girl, you were preaching to me." And Angela is a chaplain. Okay. So
All
you are
right,
doing some preaching. Yes. So, yes. So,
Angela.
so you're in the group. So you're a part of the family. I thank you so much. I adore you so much. And we are going to be following you. We're going to be subscribing to your podcast. It is the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast. And we
Yes.
are not going on your Instagram page to just like, we're going on to like and comment and say
Yes.
something to you. Okay. We're going to make
Yes.
sure that we're engaging with you.
Yes, and I
And
always engage too. If your content, if it touches me, because that's what it takes, you guys. I mean,
right.
we have to help each other out.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank
I'll make
you.
sure to put all of your links, all of that stuff inside the group. And actually, you can even go into the group when you get a minute and you can just
Yes.
share all of that so that we know exactly where to find you. And thank you for everyone who came in today and commented. Thank you so much, Vianelli, for being here. I'm so excited that you're here. And you too, Angela. Thank you so much for commenting. And next week, we will have another guest. And we are going to have empowered conversations with podcasters who are spreading positive messages out in the world. And they're also going to give you some really good, juicy information on how you can be better as a podcaster. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you real soon. All right,
All right,
Leslie?
real quick, Kimberly. I'm not
Yes.
sure. Vanna Lily, Vienna.
Nelly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Angela, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what their thing is, but if they will email me what the name of their podcast is, I
Mm-hmm.
will gift them their t-shirt for the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, Vianelli and Angela Brooks, right? Did you
Yes,
hear
they're the
that?
ones that comment that I see. So yes, I will give
Yes.
them that send me the and in the group I'll just if they want to, and I'm thinking the best way they can find me in the group, or you can email me, whichever way, Kim, you think is best. If you want to get that information, then send it to me, then
Okay.
that would be great too.
Okay. And Vianelli said, I'm going to cry. And then she has the emojis of crying
Oh,
and
see,
heart.
sometimes it pays to show up, honey. It just
Yes.
pays to show up and engage.
Yes. I love that. See, this is why I love this woman. Plus, I
Yes,
love the Southern Texas accent. That's really why I love my Leslie right there. That accent is everything. All
yes, yes,
right.
yes.
All right, Leslie, you be blessed. Love you.
All
And I
right,
will talk to you soon.
all right.
All right. Bye bye.